Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching ECLECTICKA. I'm Michael, and today we have in the studio Sensei Vegan, aka Charles. How you doing, sir?
What's happening?
So, the last time we were in the studio, we were talking about the success of Black Panther and how many executives, at least the word on the street, is that they are more open to POC, comic book character heroes. POC stands for people of color. So the question of today is, can other POC superhero characters be as successful as Black Panther?
Yes, and I will give a quick example. When I got into this business, when I started my own comic book company, story being Internal Fury, main character ex-con, I was basically told, there's no blacks in comics, you know what I mean? There's no black comic book characters. I found out from a family friend that Tom DeFalco was actually going to be in town at this comic book store just a few towns over from me. Me and my cousin, we jumped in my car, excited, ran to the comic book store, and we got to meet Tom DeFalco. Tom DeFalco actually shut the line down. And one thing he said, couple things he said stands out today. He didn't ask that, are we going to do black comic book characters? He said, if you think you have what it takes, then you go ahead and you do it. And the last thing he said, one of the last things he said was like pertaining to content. Make sure you have great content. Build something long, build it strong so you have longevity. And that's all I needed to hear. And it sent me running back and creating this whole universe within Vex Comics. So there's definitely room out there for more POCs.
What would you say would be in your opinion, the obstacles that other POC comic book character creators might have?
Just, they need to be given a chance. It's if you're not given a chance, how is anyone going to see your work? Make sense? I mean,
it definitely does, because if you look at the ones that are out there, I mean, Black Panther, years of fans, tons and tons of comic books with them. Luke Cage, Black Lightning, but they haven't had the TV show animation catalog, exactly. like a Superman or a Batman situation. So I think they could be just as successful. I think any character could be. In fact, during the show, we're going to show different, different things there. Does race matter in comic books, films? I think obviously with Black Panther shows you can make money no matter what.
Right.
But I still think that when it comes to independence, their problem is still building that fan base.
Right.
And get the business side of it. As far as the film, you don't even need to know who they are.
No, you don't. I mean, as long as the story is solid.
Right.
I mean, we're comic book geeks, movie geeks. We love anything dealing in geek media. Mm-hmm. We don't care who or what color it is. If it's good content, you and I and a lot of other people, we're going to read it regardless. We're going to view it regardless. You understand what I'm saying? I think when you're in this realm that we live in, we are so open-minded. I think it's not us. I think it's the people that have the money or the investors that are kind of keeping the doors you understand what I mean? Kind of locked up. Like, well, I don't think there's an interest for that. Well, Black Panther, Luke Cage, Black Lightning, with the new show coming out, they put that myth to sleep.
Right.
They put it to sleep. So it's definitely, Black Panther's definitely opened up doors.
Right.
Black Lightning's definitely opened up doors. It's just, again, we need to be given a chance. And that goes for just anything,
Well, also, last conversation we had yesterday, actually, was about Blade. Nobody knew who Blade was.
Oh, we were talking about Blade long before a lot of these other shows out there were giving Blade props.
Right.
Yeah.
So Blade came out of nowhere.
98. It was 98, I believe, right? Yeah, 98. I think it was 98. Don't quote me, but leave it in the comments if I have the date wrong, but I believe it's 98.
Wow.
Yeah, 98.
And it was impressive. And
more than impressive.
It shook the whole consciousness of Marvel. I believe the rumor is Marvel didn't even want their name on the
Wow.
in the credits.
Wow.
So like, you know, or like it was like really small.
Yeah.
But when
that's
they did the
something
re-release, I think on DVD, it was
they
like,
put
oh,
in
this
there.
is a Marvel.
Unbelievable. And the great thing about that movie, they took a subpar character nobody knew, and I think that was the magic of Blade. It was a lot of people thought it was just a vampire sci-fi martial arts / movie, and that's what made it this awesome. Wesley Snipes again bought it, man. He's a trained martial artist. To this day, Blade still has some of the baddest fight scenes in any comic book movie, man. And that was before Spider-Man, you know, before Iron Man and all this other stuff. Blade set the mark. And if you want to go back even further, there was another black POC. That was Image. That was with Spawn. Right? Remember Spawn? And that was 90. That was what, 96, I think, with Spawn, 96 or 97.
Okay.
So that was another black comic book character. So it's the door, again, the door's been blown off the hinges. The door's been blown off the hinges. But one thing it comes down to, and I had said this before, and I'm going to keep on this, it doesn't matter about the race, the color, it comes down to content. That's the main C that you want to talk about. The content of the character. Is it going to hold someone's attention?
In fact, I'm going to show some pictures from some characters you might not know, but you could possibly research. He's an Indian superhero. And it's interesting. Almost everywhere in the world now has a comic book.
Oh, yeah.
I think India has one. Saudi Arabia, I believe, has one as well. There's one in Puerto Rico that's like 3 years old now. So it's kind of impressive.
Or Comic Cons are popping up all over the place. It's just everyone, like I said, they love this whole, I always call it the comic book realm, man. And it's, I think with technology, the internet, it just makes it so more accessible to get in contact with this, you know, with the material and people that love this stuff like we do. Like we do, man. It has nothing to do with race, man. And it just, like I said, being a part of this industry and being a creator in this industry, I've seen it all. I mean, I've set up at shows and people walk past my table because it is people of color. But with Vex Comics, we have everyone in it. We have every race is in that book. It's for everybody. Not just because you see a person of color on a cover doesn't mean it isn't for everybody. You know, and it's for everybody. That's how we made our content, for everybody.
And I would say it's not fair for any independent to, as far as creator, fans is another conversation.
Right.
But I think an independent creator to look at Black Panther and say, you know, like it's kind of an unfair comparison as far as the work. One, it's that is its own story, but that's a story that's 40 years old.
Yeah, it came out in 66.
Actually, more than 40 years.
1966. Wow. It actually came out, if I'm not mistaken, I always say I'm not mistaken, you can quote me on this one, 3 months before the actual Black Panther movement. You know, the whole Black Panther group. So it's been around for years, decades.
Wow.
Decades. And it has a huge cult following before the movie came out.
Right.
Yeah, so.
So what's that? Was that 70 plus years? More like, yeah.
It's up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now when I say it, because they're cultivating it, they're seeing what works, they're seeing what doesn't work. So I would suggest comic book creators you really gotta experiment and be fluid enough to see what works and see what's not working.
Right.
You know, just don't keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting. Internal Fury were there. I guess you say, like, what was the process as far as, like, did you have to change a lot? Like, from when you first made your first comic, did you, hey, you know what, we got to tweak this, we got to change that, or no?
You know, this was told to me by a person, and the rule that I stick to when I write is you never make anything concrete, because it's like if you have a character, right? And you say, he can only lift 2,000 pounds, and then, and next you know, you have him lifting up a big old bus. That, you know, and then, you know, people like us, we catch that stuff. We're like, no, wait a second, how's he lifting up that bus and he can only lift up 2,000 pounds? So I like to leave the door open when I write. And there is no right and wrong way when you write things, man. I go off what I think is right at the time. I don't follow any guidelines. I would literally have people coming up to my table saying, well, you guys, you did this wrong, you didn't do this right. I know people would come up and look at the panels in the book. One dude came up to me. Oh, I wish I knew the guy's name. He had something like the 7 laws of panels or something.
Wow.
I'm like, look, dude. I said, I don't want to be like all these other comic book companies. That's what makes Vets Comics. We're going to do things our way, bring something new, something fresh to the market. And
but did you ever change anything? Did you ever say this is not working, so I did something else?
I mean, now this doesn't sound
No,
too good.
you specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to shuffle things around, like you're cooking spaghetti, you see, throw it on the wall, see what sticks.
Anything you could tell the fans, or no?
Yeah,
I actually don't want to admit to.
No, I did. I remember, so I wrote a lot of trash, dude.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Everything's not going to make sense. It's like when you're going out junking, or you're going out to a what are those stores when you're doing antiquing. Mm-hmm. Everything you buy isn't going to be a treasure, but you have to keep shifting through it. Right. So I could write 3 pages of stuff.
Give us an example.
But okay. The original ex-con, the story changed a lot. I had him escaping jail. I had him running down into a sewer and meeting a wizard, and a wizard giving him his powers. And after I read it, I was like, what kind of stuff is that, man?
Okay.
But it got me started on where I wanted to go. So the thing is, if I didn't have that idea, the story would never went anywhere. So
it's interesting. The reason why I asked you that is because Laura Croft, there's another Tomb Raider.
Okay.
And a gentleman that actually worked on the score, which was interesting. They were interviewing him on NPR, and he was saying how he likes this story because here is a simple girl that just had one skill, no superpowers, just a bow and arrow. In fact, I think in this film she's not going to tote a whole bunch of guns. She's only going to be skilled with a bow and arrow.
Right.
So I found that interesting, but it kind of brings me a lot to what's that movie with the there's like 3 films with it.
You're talking about a video based on a video game?
No. Where was
Lord of the Rings?
It was a book.
I'm sorry, we're yelling.
Catch a Flame Flyer.
You're talking about I know what you're talking about with Jennifer Lawrence.
Right. Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh God, help us out.
That's funny.
You know what I'm talking about. And I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but I can't believe we can't figure out the name of this movie.
And there you go. That tells you how much
I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't a fan of the movie.
I saw them, but I wasn't yet.
Yeah, nothing sticks with that for me.
It just reminds me too much of that, as far as like the
Kill a Mockingbird
trailers and stuff. So, but that just tells you how I feel about that film. But anywho, so I think that's interesting. I think there's room for fantasy. I think there's room for every which way.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see a story with no superpowers as well.
Well, this is the whole thing too, as far as with Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Most video game movies don't do well. I mean, you look at Blood Rain, you look at, Mortal Kombat. I mean, that was a cult classic, but if you look back on it, the movie is no good. Street Fighter.
Right.
And my thing is with Tomb Raider, I wasn't a big fan of the first one. I mean, I like Angelina Jolie. I really didn't like the first Tomb Raider. But if I want to see it, I'll play the video game. I mean, I'm looking at the previews for it. It looks like cutscenes straight from the video game. So I'm like, am I really going to watch the movie, or can I just go play the game and actually immerse myself in it? That's the problem with making video games into movies. That's to me, that's kind of tough.
Now,
it's kind of tough.
Let's go with, let's say there's an Asian American superhero.
Right.
Because we see so many, especially these days, so much martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's gonna. I think as long as it's a good story, I think it would work. But I don't think it would have the impact because we're so used to seeing Asian Americans in films doing martial arts.
Right. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
I'll take the heat.
Yeah. No, it's not. No, it's not even. No, because I remember even watching an interview with Bruce Lee.
Right.
And he was talking about how they taken this stereotype, Asian actors into certain roles, and it's ridiculous. They can act, they can do anything they want, they can be any character in the script. But that happened with us for years. You know what I mean? So it's like people need to get over that. And when I created the character Impala, He's like, basically, it would be like, I guess you would say, like a Flash, like a speedster, but he's Asian. You know? And I'm like, I'm going to take it, I'm going to break the mold of only Asian characters doing martial arts, because it's ridiculous. They can do anything. They can play any role in any movie, any script, any comic book. But, you know.
Does breaking the role, well, again, you know, there's the business side. There's like a creative conversation, a business conversation. Do you think to be a huge POC hit, they have to break the mold, or just being on the silver screen that's breaking the mold in itself?
Well, I definitely think being on a big screen is just making this, actually raising the bar and, you know, and setting a new benchmark. But it still comes down to the content. And that's just the bottom line. That's like going up to every person of color saying, "Oh, you're good at playing basketball." You know what I mean? Or you're fast, or you can dance, or something like that. You understand what I mean? So we have to take and just stay creative. Look for something that's going to have that punch. If you can read something and you can get excited from it, and you can transfer that excitement onto film or onto TV, that's magic.
Now, I noticed that a lot of the Southeast Asian comics all draw on either the Hindu gods or DC Marvel.
I got you.
I personally would love to see someone create something outside of that box, because it's just like, okay, it's like they always lie on those two swords, either Marvel, DC, or you know. And I think a lot of people now are pretty much doing that. They're either going into their cultural folklore, or they're doing Marvel, DC.
Okay, I'm gonna actually answer both of those very quickly. I can understand why they look at Marvel, DC. I mean, they're top dog out there. Every time you turn around, nothing wrong with that. I mean, they've been in the game for decades. I mean, Batman, Superman, Batman, they started everything. So you can't help not to get influence from DC or Marvel. They've been in the game for so long. And I think why people go into folklore is, it depends on how you look at it. It's reality in a sense. And even if you look at Black Panther, I think that's why it was such a hit. A lot of that stuff, it's based on reality. And I know people were saying, oh, Wakanda's not a real place. But if you look at the subject matter of the movie, talking about Africa and everything that came out of it, civilization, mathematics, medicine, astrology, the whole education system, universities, it all came out of Kemet, came out of Africa. And it was like that whole realism, I think, really hit with people. So I think that's why people sort of go into the cultural aspect of it, because it's something that you can relate with. You know what I mean? And I did that with Internal Fury, too. That whole spiritual side, when people were reading, they're like, wow. You know, man, this is like, dude, this can really happen.
Do you think it's a thing of, because we're so used to seeing certain images and certain stories, and again, if you create a story based on your community, well, guess what? Your community knows that story, right?
Exactly.
We've experienced it, so is it a lack of creativity of like something fresh and exciting that everyone could run to, and then they say, hey, check out this independent female creator, or this independent male creator that, wow.
Right.
You know?
Dude, you hit it. That was an excellent point. Now, no, seriously, think about it.
I don't want to get hate mail.
No, listen. I'm going to branch this off. And, dude, I'm telling you, this is hot stuff right here.
Right.
If you look, you're a guitar player.
Yeah.
Right? You're a pro guitar player.
Yeah.
Do you call yourself an independent guitar player?
No, just...
Say it again. No, you don't. So why should there be a wall between comic book creators, independent and mainstream? We should all be tossed into the same pot. Right? Now, if you go back and you listen to gangster rap, it got a lot of flack. But I give these brothers credits. They were poets in a sense. They were basically describing what was going on in their environment. And a lot of people, oh man, this is violent, this is this is that. People on the outside, but they're telling you what's going on for real. You understand? And I think that's what made gangster rap, I'm talking like with NWA and all them guys, what made it so strong is that was some real stuff. that was real stuff. And I think you can listen to those songs, and if you were growing up in Kansas or in Pittsburgh, you're like, daggone, man, this is what's going on in Compton, and that's what, to me,
it became the news.
Yeah.
Which is always interesting you mentioned that, not to go off a little bit, but if you notice, earlier hip hop was, here's a story, this is what's going on my block.
Yeah.
And it kind of graduated where they took advantage of that, because they were already programmed for that, if you think about it.
And again, some stuff, I'm talking, you did have real stuff, but then you had, again, some of the people in the
fantasy rap.
Yeah, they were like, milking it for more,
Thing that you bring that up, because if you look at Lightning,
right,
Black Lightning,
I like that.
His show basically is today's environment. Black Lives Matter, police brutality, still issues with drugs, trying to figure out how to raise his kids, trying to keep his marriage,
exactly,
or put his marriage back together. I found that fascinating because we don't really see that, and to me, that's why that show works for me, because it's just different. It's not just a bunch of costumes, even though he has one of the worst outfits.
They need to fix his car. I mean, I do. I like Black. I think for its first season, they're doing very well, but they definitely they got to hone his costume, because it looks like basically like football pads.
Right.
That's just like they just place stuff on them. They need to just make, to slimline it down. They need to trim it down a little bit.
But could he have a different alternative version in the theaters, and could that do as well as Black Panther?
Wow. Yes. Excellent question. Excellent. Actually, something to jump into.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and you're a creator. No, seriously. Some things are awesome on TV, but when they get on a big screen, it's like two different entities, man. Some things are made for TV. Some things are made for the silver screen. So, I don't know. Would Black Lightning shine on a big screen? I don't know.
What about Storm? Can they build a whole without adding other characters? Because I could see them doing Storm.
I could too.
And I think Storm will do really well. But could she hold it down by herself? I don't think so.
I don't think so. That goes for a lot of characters, though. There's only so many characters that can really, and that's going male or female,
right,
that can carry a full movie. Marvel's put out, look at Ghost Rider. Couldn't carry it. Right. Look at the Hulk movies that flopped. It's hard for the Hulk to balance.
Hulk is one of the major popular characters.
And think about the Hulk, though. You think it would be easy because you have what? Dr. Banner.
Right.
Bruce Banner. So you would think that, okay, man, you can slide in between, but that's a very hard character to really make a movie with, man. And that's why, I
think they just had bad writers, too.
Well, that definitely boils down to the writing.
Hulk had his own TV series, his own drama, and it did well. So, but they had compelling stories. They had stories. It wasn't about the Hulk. The Hulk kind of showed up halfway into it and kind of saved the day, and he got out of a clutch. Yeah. But
it forces you to be more creative. I think nowadays, when you get these big budgets, when you get with the CGI and all the special effects, a lot of times the script gets thrown out the window. Oh, we got to make it look good. I don't care how good it looks. It better be written well. And you have a lot of great mainstream characters that just, you're like, what were they thinking? And it's like, write the story first. Make sure it's solid. And this is another thing. I shouldn't be telling you guys this. They'll have like secret screenings or private screenings of movies before they hit the mainstream media. You need to do that with your effing scripts, man. Seriously, sit down and talk to effing people before you sit there and you get this huge budget and you make the movie. Justice League. Look, it was like you could see where they were just cutting and splicing things together. I'm like, it was like you're watching 3 different movies.
Well, you could see where even with the hair and the coloring, that they had to do some reshoots.
Yeah.
So if you really pay attention, you'll be like, oh, they reshot that. I think some of the comedy moments were added in after the fact.
Right. And I don't care what anybody says. People, you can comment, you can inbox me, whatever. I still think Ben Affleck makes a wicked Batman. I really do. I just don't. The scripts weren't good. He didn't have a good script. And if I was Ben Affleck, I would have stayed on for a solo Batman. I don't know what you're doing, but you need to stay and redeem yourself and do another Batman movie. Do you
think Luke Cage can do it?
As far as screen?
Yeah.
I definitely believe Luke Cage can do it. I do. Actually, I think Luke Cage would be probably stronger on film than it was on Netflix, and I liked it on Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I just think if you take and you look
at
at
the man that shut down Netflix.
He did, and
in fact, we've never used the term "shut down Netflix."
Shut it down.
Until Luke Cage.
Yeah, but Seven, we predicted that on ECLECTICKA. We did. We said it was going to do well. And if I look at the structure and his powers and just everything, it's I can't say it mimics, but it kind of runs along the same lines as Captain America. You know, the whole super soldier serum, that type of thing. I think Luke Cage could actually split either way. It can do well in television, it can do well on a film. If the script is written well for film, I believe it can do well.
Right. And I think the only way to do Green Lantern is to do the Black Lantern.
You gotta bring in a brother. You gotta do Jon Stewart.
Yeah, you have to. I think.
There was rumors.
Otherwise, it's not interesting.
No, it's not. And there were rumors that they were talking. I don't know. I heard rumors. Tom Cruise as Green Lantern.
That was a rumor.
Yeah, I don't. Tom, I like you, brother. Maybe directed. I mean, you look at Mission Impossible. I mean, Tom goes for it in every movie. I like his movies. But don't. Green Lantern, man, maybe directed. Invest in it, but don't. Yeah, just stay away from that. Man.
I think this is happening.
Oh yeah.
I think they're gonna put Storm with Black Panther. I don't think they're gonna give her own thing. I
think it would be wise to actually pair up Black Panther, or at least
right.
flash her in there some way. I don't know if they're going to do it in the second film. I think that would be too soon.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, later on down the road, if they do like a third film, maybe you can do something with Storm. But I think it'd be too soon to throw in there now, especially with his love interest already in there. You know what I mean? Because they get married.
Right. And then Static Shock, I think.
I like Static.
Mm.
But this is the thing about Static. Would you do Static as when he was a kid, or would you do Static when he's older?
I think they're gonna do it as a kid because he's right up there with Black Lightning. You might as well do. Now Static Shock. He's with he's Marvel also, right?
Is Static Marvel or DC?
Or is he? I think he's Marvel. I think Black Lightning is DC.
Black Lightning's DC. Yeah, I'm getting mixed. Okay, yeah, I'm getting mixed up. Yeah, and Static's Marvel. Yeah,
because otherwise, it'd be the same character.
Yeah, it basically is. It basically is.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing with Static, he doesn't need a suit to control his. But I never thought Black Lightning needed a suit to control his powers.
I think that was just a TV
just
show.
For TV, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so he don't fry his nervous system.
Yeah.
You ain't had your powers long enough, brother. You should know how to control them. I can control mine. Watch.
Well, we pose it. We'll see what happens, and I think it's a great conversation that could definitely keep going. Maybe we'll do a part 2 and have some of our friends, our fellow Geekcasters join us and do that. So thank you very much, Sensei Vegan.
Dude, it's always a pleasure, man. You know that.
And ladies and gentlemen, you're watching ECLECTICKA. Michael Seven Michael, and enjoy, and we will keep it going. Watch us again.
And again and again.